So y'all might not know me since I'm new on the internet's content creation side, but allow me to present myself. Hi, I'm Catalyst, the silly little small fat character you see on your screen. And you might be wondering why I exist, and that's for the sole purpose of this video. If y'all like me, I'll see what I can do to stay here. See, there's this thing that I call wukutugubu. Wukudutuwu? Wut-DT-woo? It doesn't matter. It stands for water contamination destroying the world. There's this problem that has been concerning me a lot lately. Not enough to not make me sleep all night, but it leaves me pondering for hours and hours, and that's water contamination. Let me be genuine with y'all. This concern of mine has been going through ever since I had to do an investigation project at school. See, there's been some problems ongoing with trash invading water over the world. One which outshined the most to me was Guatemala's water contamination issue, where pollution and the neglect of the government has caused 95% of the water on the continent to be dangerous to drink. And I was wondering, how can we solve water contamination? Or in this case, how could we solve this issue for Guatemala? Since I'm just one person, I cannot be able to build up a whole solution for a worldwide problem. It could be flawed and unpredictable, and if we count a lot of variety of factors that can affect the progress of solving the issue, we'll be focusing on Guatemala for this. So thanks to my wondrous research, some of the main problems that cause Guatemala's water to be down toxic waste undrinkable are things like poor infrastructure, pollution, the most obvious one, and the lack of government funding. Now let's begin with the issue of poor infrastructure. For those who don't know, infrastructure is basically the base structure or facility needed for a contribution to society. So in terms of Guatemala's water infrastructure, it's very poor. And we see in the 2018 article of the United Nations University where water treatment plants lack equipment and payment for their workers, resulting in the very neglected infrastructure for water sanitation. Only about 20% of the wastewater from the sewer system receives treatment. The rest of the water is gone. Bye bye. It all goes back to the rivers or continues for the ongoing use of the common folk. For this issue, the best solution for the better infrastructure is found more on water cleansing systems and have more workers with a better salary to take charge in operating the machinery. We will also need even more machines that can take charge on cleansing the rest of the sewer wastewater. Now to our second problem, pollution. Now if you've been living on a rock or are just a toddler who learned how to use an iPad for the first time, you must know what pollution is. But just in case, pollution is the presence of poisonous substances on the environment, causing deterioration on plants and affecting our living conditions. Now, in a case of pollution that is not trash or boo-boo on water, it's the harmful algal blooms on Lake Amatitlan. Now let Professor Liz explain why the algae is so impactful for the environment. The increased amounts of algae and bacteria growing towards the surface of the sea affects the amounts of sunlight that sea species take. Not only that, but especially these algal blooms can take up a lot of oxygen from the species that live in near areas, release harmful gases and toxins. The increased amounts of algae and bacteria growing towards the surface of the sea affects the amounts of sunlight that sea species take. Not only that, but especially these algal blooms can take up a lot of oxygen from the species that live in near areas, release harmful gases and toxins. So why does this algae grow? Well, algae usually reproduces photosynthetically and requires carbon dioxide and sunlight to grow. Yup, now you see why pollution is involved. Things like burning gases, reactive plants, and greenhouse gases created an excess of carbon dioxide, impacting the atmosphere and making the sunlight to be stronger, and now algae is everywhere. Of how can we solve it? It would be by reducing the amount of pollution caused by the previous factors mentioned before, and take an initiative to get rid of the excess of algae on the areas. Now to our last problem that can sabotage the fate of taking a good step into the cleanup, it is obviously the government. Look, I dislike giving political opinions, but the fact that the way that politicians of Guatemala have been taking care of this issue is really worrying. People should not be the ones having to deal with the issue by themselves. and initiatives that were going to be taken by previous candidates did not succeed. Meaning that if the government does not assist its people, how do we expect improvements on these issues being solved? Government funding is important mostly because these people have the power to control masses and are able to execute plans. The only solution that I found for this is change. The people need to find someone reliable who will help them and protect them and prevent this situation from becoming way worse than now. Okay, maybe this took a sad turn. I know these people do not deserve this kind of things to happen to them, and honestly, I hope the best for them and the change that they deserve. There are many other things that water is actually used for, whether crops, hygiene, and obviously drinking it. From animals to humans, we all need water, and if your main source of life can kill you, I don't know how you live. And maybe this video could do something or nothing. I just hope that one day everything could be better, and for people to be better.